Bienvenidos al capítulo 6 de compras. Okay, so in this chapter we're going to focus on talking about clothing, prices, and shopping, talking about past events, and expressing likes and dislikes in Spanish. First, let's have a look at a primera vista el vocabulario del capítulo 6. Y primero aquí tenemos los sustantivos. Okay. Y los sustantivos son los nouns en español. Y vemos aquí que tenemos el centro comercial, tiendas, ropa, zapatos, juguetes, supermercado, tela, artesanía, joyas, bolso, cosa, regalo, collar, pulsera, aretes, anillo, oro, plata, billetera, cuero, caro, barato, precio. Y algunos verbos importantes aquí en este capítulo vemos pagar, llevar, ir de compras, vender. Hay más vocabulario importantísimo en la página 193 y 195. Okay, so there on these pages you're going to see more vocabulary that's very, very important that's given to you on both of those pages. So en la página 193 we see vocabulary related to clothing, la ropa. Okay, and also on page 195 we see ¿qué debo llevar? Okay, and we see a few more clothing items that are described there in Spanish that are listed there, and there's also pictures. So we'll see, for example, el traje de baño, bathing suit, las sandalias, the sandals, la chaqueta, like a jacket, things like that. So let's continue here. So let's look first at funciones y formas número uno, talking about the past. Preterit tense of regular verbs. Okay? And so there's two different forms and ways to talk in the past in Spanish. And so what we're going to look at today is the preterit tense of regular verbs. Okay? So, ante todo, in order to talk about events in the past, Spanish uses two simple tenses, the preterit and the imperfect. In this lesson, you will learn how to form the preterit tense, which is used to express actions or states completed in the past. So we see here, preterit tense of regular AR, ER, and IR verbs. So we said the regular AR verbs, we're going to have the haste, o, amos, aron endings. So what we're going to do is we'll just keep the verb exactly the same with comprar, but we drop off the AR and we insert the following. With ER and IR verbs, we get kind of a 2-for-1 scenario here, which definitely helps in memorizing. So what we have here is we're going to simply drop off the ER or the IR and we'll replace it with iste, yo, imos, hieron. Okay, so pretty simple. We know with regular ER and IR verbs, again, we drop off the ER or the IR and we simply insert iste, yo, imos, or hieron. Okay, atención. The you and usted, el, or AF forms of all three conjugations have written accents on the last syllable to show that it is stressed. Very important, very important. So we see here the o, the io, or the io here, or also in the first person, the compré, vendí, or escribí. So it's not, we think in English sometimes, I believe, that maybe accents are just for show. They're something that we just do in Spanish. But in fact, they can almost always will change the meaning of the word itself. So, for example, compró versus compro. So compró with an accent is referring to a third person Whereas compro is referring, or I'm sorry, a third person in the past, as we see here. But compro, without an accent, is actually referring to the first person conjugation of comprar in the present tense. So it's very important to add accents where they need to be. As the chart shows, the endings for regular ER and IR verbs are identical in the preterite. Note that the nosotros form of regular AR and IR verbs in the preterite are identical to the present tense forms. Context will help you determine which tense is being used. So we see here, for example, en invierno compramos ropa. In the winter, we buy clothing. However, we could also use this talking in the past. Anoche compramos unos zapatos. So last night, in the past, we bought some shoes. AR and ER verbs that have a stem change in the present tense are regular in the preterite. They do not have a stem change. Okay. So earlier in the textbook, we practiced stem change verbs. So for example, we see an E to IE with the verb cerrar. Okay, la tienda cierre a las 6 in the present. But in the past, really simplifies quite a bit. La tienda cerró a las 6. And we see that for the following examples as well. With volver in the past, there's no stem change. Jugar, we have a stem change in the present, no stem change in the past. Much more simple. Okay, but IR verbs that have a stem change in the present tense also have a stem change in the preterite. Verbs that end in car, gar, zar have a spelling change in the first person singular, the yo form, in the preterite. Okay, so we have here buscar. We see that this C-A-R will turn into a Q-U in the preterite. Yo busqué. Llegar, it's a gar verb, will actually drop and change to a G-U. Yo llegué. Empezar, we have that Z-A-R. Actually, it'll turn into a C, strangely enough, and we have here yo empecé. Except for the yo form, all other forms of car, gar, and zar verbs are regular in the preterite. Okay? So we'll see here. Beyond just this yo form, the car, gar, zar verbs are regular in the preterite. So this is the only irregularity we see with these verbs in the preterite, is in the yo form. Beyond that, everything will follow the same order. So the car, gar, and zar will all follow all of the normal rules that a typical AR verb in the preterite tense would follow.